Okay, we need to talk some serious stuff because, like Pine Power, my anxiety is getting to me for a different reason. Here's the thing. Over a week ago, we saw or it was a week ago, I think, we saw Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference. And while they did announce a Mac Pro that was user upgradable, at least somewhat, though they still decided to spend extra money on making it incompatible with GPUs. Then we got some negative reviews on it, and this just worries me. You know, Steve Jobs' philosophy, the future of technology is dark, and I'm starting to get anxiety about it. Because people just say, if you don't like that design of the Mac, just get a PC. But what if PCs start to have this design trait too, of refusing to allow expandability, using system on chips, following Steve I don't care Jobs philosophies. What happens? And that's what I'm going to talk to you about in this video, because there are some of us who need expandability, who need ports, like me, for example. You need to think of the minorities here. Apple's just a dangerous company. Tim Cook is a dangerous man who's there to dissatisfy the customer when it comes to the hardware, whereas it's the opposite for Microsoft and Google. They want to dissatisfy the customer when it comes to software. And it's getting to me. You know, all these YouTube videos saying they're going to discontinue the iPhone, reviews of the Mac Pro, all the stuff on the Apple Vision Pro, replacing the necessity I have, which is the iPhone I'm using to record this video. It's all making me anxious, driving me away from YouTube, all this stuff with Apple. Making me afraid to watch channels like Luke Miani, Max Tech, even Linus Tech Tips. He made a recent video that I've got to call out about this Mac Studio device that he said that he's going to stop building PCs out of user upgradable parts. And I got to call you out, Linus, for doing that. You know that these user upgradable parts are important to some people. And this isn't a Mac he's talking about. This is a PC. So you're getting the worst of both. Apple's philosophy, Apple's hardware, and PC's software. Something needs to be done. That's what my company is going to do, because my company's fully formed. I have a manufacturing team, I have a warehouse, I have a supply chain. So later on in the month, I'm going to be getting a computer build, or maybe even more than one computer build, for a matter of fact, just to be sure that Apple does not become the only option. Apple's hardware doesn't become the only option. Now I'm forgetting all the words that I was saying in rehearsal for this video. That's great. I mean, we got rid of the optical drive at the turn of the double zeros in the beginning of the 2020s. Then we got rid of the USB Type A port with those thin light devices. Thin light also means overheating. We got the failure of the 12-inch MacBook. And yes, I know Apple's making things thicker again, with the phones, with everything actually, but that's the only thing I can give Apple credit for when it comes to hardware. So, I'm now worried that Intel and AMD will either go out of business or will resort to making SoCs only. that aren't compatible with any, like, x86. Yes, this would mean goodbye Windows, but still a bad idea. Anyway, let's go over the advantages and disadvantages of specific hardware and software. So we have Zen 4 on that is socketable in socket AM5, whereas we have Apple Silicon, which is an SoC, doesn't have any sockets. Apple Silicon doesn't support much RAM, and the RAM's not upgradable, whereas Zen 5 supports up to, Zen 4 supports up to 192 gigabytes of RAM. You'll need a M2 Ultra to get that amount. Okay, yeah. I'm going the opposite direction on this Garden City, New York walk. Here in Garden City, New York, so I gotta watch out. And then we got the fact that the number of devices that, the number of SATA devices that Apple Silicon supports is 0, whereas socket AM5 supports, well, 8. Then there's the number of M.2 slots. Apple Silicon supports 0, and AM5 supports 5. You can see what I'm talking about, how much better Apple Silicon is. No, sorry. How much better AMD is, and so is Intel, because Intel's almost the same as AMD. The fact is that AMD rules. And Apple should have switched to AMD and not Intel. Apple should have switched from AMD to AMD, not Apple Silicon. My words are getting mixed up. The point is, everybody's forgetting about, like, all the criticisms they made in the past that were very smart against Apple. And companies are criticizing Apple, then copying them years after. I mean, come on, you criticized Apple for removing the headphone jack. Why do it yourself? Why? You criticized Apple for removing the USB Type-A port, then you do it yourself? This is just a disease that Apple's spreading. That's worse than COVID. That's worse than the Black Death. It could end lives like mine, because I wouldn't be able to survive in a world with technology that is going to come in the future. It's like starving of hunger that I'm going to be doing because of Apple. And once Tim Cook realizes that I have a dead body, he's gonna have committed a murder crime against me. And maybe he'll get arrested. I'm thinking that Tim Cook is actually he would like one of those people on the South Shore of Long Island. He'd be like, agree with Wall Street, given his rep. Oh yeah, and he would have a dog like that. That's just nasty. Point is, people are getting fooled by how fast these Apple Silicon devices are, these ARM system on chips are, forgetting about how useful expandability is and how it's an important thing. And the ironic thing is that Apple Silicon isn't even that fast. The M1 chip had a base clock of 600 megahertz and a boost clock of between 2.0 and 3.2 gigahertz. That's it. It was tremendously slow. And people don't understand that. The only reason why it was running fast was because it was drawing a lot of power, making the computer so hot on the inside, which takes away the efficiency thing if you want it to run fast. Because of how low the base clock was. Even the turbo clock is low in the M1 and M2. This disease needs to be contained. This Steve Jobs, Tim Cook disease needs to be contained. It's really bumping up my anxiety. The same way life on Long Island is bumping up Pine Power's anxiety. This needs to stop. And it's going to be really hard because I'm the only one who hates Apple Silicon. And that's just going to make it ever much harder unless I either buy billions of dollars in Apple stock, which I need to trade in my trading card for maximum value in order to do that, or start my own computer company, which I already did. So pretty soon, I'm going to make this mostly a separate video, but pretty soon you're going to see models on eBay being sold for extremely low prices that are a fraction of what Apple costs. They perform better, they're more efficient, they're much more they're completely user upgradable. Like, desktops will have several slots for PCIe. Laptops will have this new thing. It's like sort of like M.2, but host devices, all sorts of things, similar to what desktop PCIe supports. Like networking cards or GPUs. It's gonna be called, I think, NPC slots. And most of the laptops are gonna have at least like 5, 6, or 7 of them. Even the small ones. Laptops are gonna bring back the optical drive. Bring back hard 2.5-inch bays. SODIMMs, MXMs, and CPU sockets.